Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. This is a book from Tor.com. It came out in 2023. It's a sci-fi book. Due to popular demand, despite having done the live show with Steph at Coffee Over Apples already about this book, you can watch us dissect that book on her channel. I have decided to do a full review for this novel. Easy to absorb, but hard to digest. I'm a bit confused as to how this book won awards, I'll be completely honest. Well, what's it about? While we live, the enemy shall fear us. All her life, Kira has trained for the day she can avenge the murder of planet Earth. Raised in the bowels of Gaia Station alongside the last scraps of humanity, she readies herself to face the wisdom, the all-powerful reality-shaping weapon that gave the Majota their victory over humanity. They are what's left. They are what must survive. Kira is one of the best warriors of her generation, the sword of a dead planet. But when Command assigns her brother to certain death and relegates her to the nursery to bear sons until she dies trying, she knows she must take humanity's revenge into her own hands. Alongside her brother's brilliant but seditious friend and a lonely captive alien, she escapes from everything she's ever known into a universe far more complicated than she was taught and far more wondrous than she could have imagined. Now, to be clear, I thought this book was easy to follow plot-wise, had a pretty good pacing, had interesting world building, but I struggle to call this book more than mediocre at best. It's a good book. It's not bad. It's not stupid. It's trying to say something. The writing is fine. But I tend to think of award-winning novels as ones that push envelopes or provide unique concepts, but this one did neither, really. If you're looking for a straightforward, easy-to-read, new adult, I will get to this, novel that includes lots of sci-fi tropes and the tiniest fraction of queer awakening, you'll likely enjoy this. And that's fine. This book is like a Marvel movie. It's flashy, it's fun, the bad guys are obvious, and it includes some very good action sequences and world building. You will enjoy it. It's fun. I listened to it on audiobook, and this is a good way to do it. The narrator did a fantastic job, great voices, just great cadence to her words. I was never bored. Okay, well, there was a section that I found a little tedious, but other than that, I really enjoyed those aspects of it. I found it was kind of a mess. First of all, it includes a trope partway through that has been done far too many times without bringing anything new to the genre. As soon as it arrived, I was like, oh no, not one of these. Skip here to avoid the spoiler. I'm just going to talk about it for a second. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the time travel, kind of different realities trope when it's the focus of the story. I really liked the Loki season 1 show, for example. I really like when it's kind of like a comedy in a sense, because it's kind of fun and you don't have to worry too much about the mechanics of it. But when it's thrown into a story in the way it was here, it felt a lot like Deus Ex Machina, and it just kind of feels like we've seen this before many, many times. There's a reason this is a trope. Yeah. That being said, I don't think it was a poorly executed. It's just been overdone. I also found the story should have been, if not YA, given the main character is 17, but new adult. Its trajectory character-wise is just too simplistic. It's obvious from the first chapters, dare I say, page 1, what the main character Kira's self-journey is going to be from 3 angles. Another spoiler here. I promise I'm not going to do this all the time. I think this is the last time. So jump here to skip again. 1, she's going to reject the Gaia Station fascism. 2, she's going to befriend or fall in love with an alien. 3, she gay. Yes, had this been a Y or NA, it would have been fine. I just found all 3 of these journeys were too didactic, too obvious at the outset for an adult reader. Now, obviously, we want our character to go in this direction, or all these directions, but I just found for this one, there was no question it would go that way. It kind of felt like this is an obvious path that I'm taking, and I'd rather take the scenic route. Despite Kira's seemingly head-heartedness about all 3 aspects, you knew what would happen. It's not nuanced enough. It doesn't approach these topics in a way that I felt was deep enough. It felt a bit kind of surface level. I guess that's kind of my main deal with this book. I think overall, it's fine. It just feels so shallow. There's no room for any sort of gray area. And also, there is something Steph and I talk about a lot more in the live show that I'm going to get into here. But the way gay characters were handled could have used a lot more thought as well. Now, one thing that Steph and I didn't talk about at the live show, because I just didn't really feel like talking about it, was the title. The title is taken from Wilfred Owen's Dulce est decorum est, which I could read for you, but I already did that in my review of The Ministry of Time. So if you want to listen to that, I think I read that one. Did I read? No, I read that one. So you can find that there. Does the title fit this book? Yes, in terms of the exact line, but regarding the poem as a whole, I actually don't think it does. The line that does make sense is, "My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to ardent children for some desperate glory, the old lie, dulce est decorum est pro patria mori." If your Latin is rusty, dulce est decorum est, etc., means it is sweet and fitting to die for one's country. Now, this line makes sense given the book is about brainwashing children to value the country, in this case the community space station, over all else, and the children, at least here, due to indoctrination, are desperate to show their worth. They're desperate for the glory. Yes, that all makes sense. But the point of Owen's poem is not about fascism. Owen was a World War I poet. That was not a fascist time. His poems are about the horrors of war, of how war was told to him as this great honorable thing when he was growing up, but World War I really changed the nature of warfare. Even the brutal American Revolution wasn't as murderous as World War I when it comes to the sheer number of soldiers killed, plus there was the introduction of trench warfare and certain weapons, like tanks, that made killing extremely quick and fighting against them almost futile. I haven't seen the newest version of All Quiet on the Western Front that came out a couple years ago. I keep meaning to watch it, but I know it will make me so sad, so I have been avoiding it. Anyway, I if you can't tell, I really like World War I. That sounds weird to say, but like in terms of like an era of history, I find World War I and its aftermath, like politically and socially, very fascinating. And I love the World War I poets. Anyway, Owen's poem wasn't so much about society indoctrinating people, though obviously the idea of war being honorable or heroic is obviously a social concept, but about how the nature of war for him was no longer the same as when his parents were young. How, despite what Fallout says, war has changed. Yes, it's always bullshit when young people are sent to fight a political war, but this was a war that held absolutely no honor. It was no charge of the Light Brigade. Owen is describing how the horrors of this war had changed his perception and revealed what he'd always thought as the truth to be a lie, not that the lie was always present. Does that make sense? I guess this book kind of fits that too, but it also doesn't really work for me because it falls shallow. Owen's poem has tremendous depth, and I'm not sure "girl realizes her society is fascist and wrong" really fits. They have like different themes. So I guess it did work in a general sense, but like the rest of this book, it's just a bit shallow. So I've been talking about that for too long. So this book for me, I guess it's fine. It's just not groundbreaking. I didn't find anything about it award-winning, to be honest. So that's why I was a bit confused. Like if I had gone into this being like, okay, this is just going to be like a fun kind of like typical kind of generic space opera, I think I would have liked it more. But because it had because it's such a high rating on Goodreads and it has these like awards, I was expecting something a bit more complex. So that's my opinion on this book. Hopefully you found that interesting, and let me know in the comments if you disagree. Also check out the live show with Steph and I. You can see us struggle to be nice. Thanks for watching.